Hey my sugar bears, welcome back to my channel, Bougie AF. It's your host, Nicole. It's where I say stay bougie on them. It's me feeding you feminism for the soul. It's my soul food offering. It's where I apply pressure to issues by being critical and logical. Now don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Now let's get to the commentary where I can guarantee you I will be doing too much because that's just me. And like Sheree said, who's gonna check me, boo?
Nicole, Miss Bougie AF. So listen, we are here with another topic that was talked about on Clubhouse, as you can see in the background, and it says here, Black community, and they're talking about the preferences versus self-hatred in terms of like examples of MJ and Little Kim. I found this an interesting topic. I don't bring you all the topics or all the rooms that I sit on Clubhouse because some of them are just they're not, there's no meat there. There's no real substance, right? But this was interesting to me because in that conversation, it was just interesting to hear a lot of perspectives in terms of like, you know, what is self-hatred, right? I've come to the conclusion that, well, one of the things that frustrated me in this conversation is like when they talked about it as if though it's a dark-skinned girl issue, right? As if though dark-skinned girls are the only ones that are like bleaching their skins or choosing to do things like BBLs or choosing things to alter their face or change their appearance because they're not happy with the way they look because they're dark-skinned and they're, not a preference a lot of times in the Black community. I found that to be so misleading. And it's to me, someone who is very comfortable with how she looks. You may not, I may not come out here or be on the internet and, posting pictures of me all glammed up and all this other stuff, because that's not what I'm feeding you, right? That's not my intentions. That's not what I want to stand out for, right? With that being said, I'm very comfortable with the fact that in real fucking life, I'm being told that I'm beautiful, right? So whatever you think online doesn't really kind of faze me in that way. I got that real life validation. So that's all I need, right? With that being said, as I look out into like Hollywood in the industry and I see who is cutting on their face or who's making all these alterations to their bodies and stuff like that, it's not just a dark skin issue, right? You have people like a Cardi B who's cut up on her face, who's did work to her face. You have women like a Vivica Fox that's had work on her face. And even looking at MJ, and like his sisters, Latoya, they've had work done to their face, and of course Little Kim has had work. So there's numerous women that have had a lot of plastic surgery or had plastic surgery done on their face. I don't think everything is self-hate, right? Like I don't think because you go and get a boob job that you hate yourself and you hate your body, right? There was other things that were talked about and like the different things that people do, even in terms of like your nose, right? Like I don't necessarily feel like that equals self-hate. I think a lot of people do, but if you don't like something, I do think you have the right to fix it without it being self-hate. I think for me, more or less, it was just like the it was just made to seem as though it's like a dark skin issue, and I just don't see it prevalently like that. The women that are noticed, that are in the industry and they're dark skinned, they're gorgeous. Like Remy Ma is gorgeous, right? Kenya Moore is gorgeous, right? Like Naomi Campbell is gorgeous, right? And so these Black women are not altering their face. They don't suffer from low self-esteem, and there's plenty of examples of other gorgeous dark skinned women. And Nicole, Miss Bougie AF. So listen, let's talk a little bit more. I didn't know I was going to do a part 2 to this, but I felt like I have more to add to this. So let's talk about let's talk about the mindfuck that also happens within the Black community in terms of being dark skinned and like how that plays out in society in terms of like how you're made to feel, right? A lot of times, and even in spaces in terms of like as a woman and in terms of like who is the preference, I think a lot of people expect dark-skinned women to come with a certain type of confidence, right? Not to be as confident as a lighter-skinned woman, right? To show up in a capacity where they shrink themselves because they should know their place in terms of like, what is the preference, and right? And so with that being said, you're not, or people feel as if though you shouldn't speak as much, shouldn't show up as much, shouldn't demand as much respect in terms of like just demand as much as respect versus a light-skinned woman. I go against all of that, right? Because what real validation in like real life and being told that you're beautiful in like real fucking life, and being preferred or getting attention, because a lot of times, like, I'm sorry to disappoint some of you guys out there, when I do show up against or go out with light-skinned women, I get just as much as attention, right? So with that being said, I don't have some of the insecurities other women have, right? And I think a lot of people, when it comes to me being a dark-skinned woman that's confident, what she got to be confident about? She dark-skinned. She dark skinned, she ain't got a killer body. What she got to be confident about? So a lot of people will look down on you and put expectations on like how you should appear in society. But baby, I'm as confident as they come, right? I'm really self-assured. I have real life validation on like how I look and all this other stuff. So I don't need everybody else's validation. With that being said, that's why I was so disturbed by this conversation being about dark skinned women, because as I'm looking out in society and seeing who's doing all the BBLWs and start doing all the BBLs, doing the breast augmentation, cutting up their nose and making changes to their faces and all this other stuff. It's not the women that I have grown up and adored and thought were beautiful, right? As dark-skinned women, it's not those women, right? So with that being said, I just think, it's extremely important that when we're having these conversations that we're honest about like who is cutting on their faces, who are getting the BBLWs, or even mentioning that men are also, using the skin bleaching cream. Like Sammy Sosa, like you look ridiculous, right? Vibe Cartels, you look fucking ridiculous, right? But we don't talk about that, right? We try to make it seem like it's just dark-skinned people on continents that are getting or altering their body and it's self-hate, and it's across the board happening. Nicole, Miss Bougie F. So listen, we're going to conclude this. I didn't think we were going to get a 3-part out of this. I promise you I didn't think that. So if you don't know, I do put these 3 parts together and put them all together and place it on my YouTube so you can view it there. So go check that out, which is the Bougie AF channel, right? So with that being said, I felt like I wanted to come back and add to this conversation about the fact colorism doesn't always come from like the other side, right? And most definitely even in the black community, it doesn't even always come from black men, right? You'll be surprised how colorism shows up, right? It shows up like, okay, so right, this is girl I follow on YouTube. Her name is Codename Chanel. Go check her out. Love everything about her. She's a dark skinned one like me, super confident, beautiful, and all this other stuff. But she told this story one time of a friendship that ended. And the friendship ended because she was hanging out with a girl who was insecure about her dark skin. Her friend had these experiences in her real life within her family or the community she came from where, she just was not the preference. With that being said, when this friend of hers would go through situations, or even when she herself, Chanel, would go through situations, her friend automatically would just be like, oh, it's because you're dark skinned, right? And then Chanel would be like, no, I don't think that's what it is, right? So it'd be like this projection of like inferiority that this girl would feel that she would try to place on her friend. And so like every situation, like it would just always be about colorism, right? Like any rejection or anything, it would be about the colorism. And Chanel herself mentally did not suffer from that, right? With that being said, I wanted to share that with you guys because a lot of times it can be someone who is just dark skinned with you. I hung out with somebody who most definitely had insecurity issues, right? She had a mindset that because of how she felt about herself, she did not like that I did not feel the same way, right? I didn't suffer from that same inferiority complex, right? I knew better to in terms of like how I wanted to be treated. I didn't allow anybody to treat me a certain way, whereas she would, right? And so with that being said, because I wouldn't allow anybody to treat me a certain way, it become, oh, she's conceited. She thinks she's all that. She ain't nobody. Why she thinks she's special, right? And I'm talking about in terms of like her being disrespected by men, being called bitches and told, about them putting their dicks in her mouths and that be acceptable, right? I don't come from that place of insecurity, right? I don't come from that place that I don't that I don't know that I deserve to be treated better, right? So with that being said, like colorism and how that affects people, it oh my God, it's so deep, right? And when you're hanging around with someone like that, be aware of it. Like your issue with yourself is not my issue. Period. Pooh. Nicole, Miss Bougie AF. So y'all know how I do over here where I tell y'all to stay posh SF, y'all stay black SF, y'all stay bougie SF, and more importantly, y'all be blessed SF. Nothing but kisses. And y'all be black, y'all. And don't you forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I am out. Bye.